Roadrunners Hall of Fame Class of 2025, Curt Culver.
I got a phone call from somebody and said, do you have Curt's phone number? The AD would like it because Curt's getting inducted into the Metro State University Hall of Fame, and I was so excited when I heard that. I get tears thinking about it now, but I gave him the number, and shortly after that call, I got a phone call from Curt, and he said, Gary, I got the call. And I go, what call? And he said, they just called me from Metro. I'm getting into the Hall of Fame.
Curt Culver was a vital part in the rise of Roadrunners baseball in downtown Denver in those late 70s and early 80s, but he didn't come to the Mile High City swinging the bat for Metro State.
So Curt came here on a basketball scholarship. He was a two-sport athlete at Fairview High School in Boulder. Came on a basketball scholarship, played 2 years of basketball. And the first time that I saw Curt as an athlete, we had come in from a practice outside, February, cold practice, came inside, hey, let's catch a basketball game. Curt was playing as a sophomore, poured in 38 points before there was a three-point line. So that was just his athletic ability.
Culver joined the baseball team in his sophomore season, and he was off and running, making an impact for the squad. And literally, because Culver ran and stole 69 bases in his career, which still ranks second all-time in program history.
Well, we used to say in the dugout, Curt gets on first base, and you could hear from the dugout, I'd be out coaching the bases, but you could hear from the dugout, that's a double, because you knew that he was going to steal second base. He had that much speed. And playing against tough competition that I mentioned before, they were top catchers. And it didn't matter.
I was a leadoff hitter. He was a three-hitter, and unfortunately, if I was going out to steal a base, our number two hitter was an unbelievable hitter, and I would go from first to third because he'd get a base hit, and I'd lose the attempt at the steal. Or Curt was the number three hitter, so it took a lot of stolen bases away from me. But we were always battling neck and neck, trying to do our best.
He was also a tremendous hitter, batting .354 in his 3-year baseball career. Culver showed his talent at the plate, but his ambition to perfect his craft resonated with the rest of the team.
He had power, he had everything. I mean, he could hit it behind the runner, he could pull the ball, he could hit the curve, he could hit the fastball. It wasn't like, you were blowing anything by Curt. He was an extremely good hitter and took a lot of pride in that, and took a lot of batting practice, and his work ethic, like I said, was just second to none. He was just very focused and very driven. Very talented ball player.
The 1981 team went 24-17 and featured Hall of Famers in Greg Eisenhart and Gary Romero. Culver hit .434 that season and went 37 of 38 on the base paths. That team was one of the first all-time great Roadrunner baseball teams.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was one of those teams that didn't matter who we were playing. Didn't matter the competition, because at that time I was coaching, because I had already played my senior year, and then it was my second year of coaching. So it was a great team to work with in that they were so competitive.
It was a time that they've talked about maybe inducting that team into the University Hall of Fame here, because at that time we had a very talented group of guys, and the program was starting to change, and you could see it starting to evolve, and better players were starting to come here from different areas. But that 1981 team, we led the nation hitting as a team that year. I think we hit .387 as a team. That's something I'm really proud about.
Culver had the Hall of Fame talent and had the Hall of Fame drive, but his fellow Roadrunners will tell you that most importantly, he was the Hall of Fame teammate.
Off the field, Curt was the best friend that you could have, best teammate that you could have, always supportive, always positive. So he took that personality, and it was a big part of our team.
He came to play every day. He worked very hard. Take batting practice and taking fly balls, he played outfield, and he just worked his craft. He was, whatever he asked of him, whether it was a hit and run, or if it was to lay a bunt down, or if it was to steal a base, or it was a hit and run. I mean, he was very, very in tune with what he was good at.
Curt, congratulations on being inducted into the 2025 Roadrunners, MSU, Athletic Hall of Fame. You are so deserving. You should have been inducted many years before this, but I'm glad that it's come to pass, and you're going to be inducted. Great job, Curt.
Anyone that knows Curt, along with all of his talent comes an empathetic, kind, generous, loving person. But don't let that quiet kindness fool you, because he also had a very driven, competitive spirit. He was a quiet assassin with a killer instinct. Curt didn't lead with words, but most definitely led by example. He was one of the players, if the game was on the line, we as teammates had comfort and confidence knowing that he would get the game-winning hit or make a great game-saving defensive play. That's who you were, Curt Culver. It was an honor to take the field and compete with you. I know everyone, including the coaches, and I mean everyone on our team, felt the same way. In closing, I'd like to say, as great of an athlete and baseball player you were even a better person, and still are today. So it's an honor for me, Curt, to induct you into this University Hall of Fame. You know, when you said that you wanted me to be a part of it, I was, I was just taken back that you would ask me to do it, because what an honor it is to induct you, such a great guy and a great friend and a great ball player. So I'm very happy for you and proud of you.
Curt Culver, Roadrunners Hall of Fame, class of 2025.
Wow, this is overwhelming. I'm not good at this, but we'll get through it. Well, thanks, Gary and Eric. That was really special. First off, I got a call from head baseball coach Ryan Strain yesterday. He said they were playing tonight, and it looked like they were on a 4-game stretch against Colorado Kristen, and they had won the last 10 out of the last 12 games. So looks like another 4 more home games to play, and then they start the RMAC tournament. So good luck to them the rest of the way. I hinted to Ryan that maybe I could fill in if it needed, but I don't think he was too receptive of that. Also, I want to congratulate Janesta and Lester and the 2008 women's soccer team. It's an honor to share this night with all of you. Thanks to Eric Larson and Gary Romero for the nominations, to Eric Lansing for the video, to Joe and the committee for the selection, and to Todd Thurman for the induction phone call. As I mentioned to Todd shortly after the call, I found myself tearing up thinking of my dad. As I was completing my last year at Fairview High School in Boulder, I started receiving some college basketball offers, yet none seemed to be the right fit. And so I was still undecided when my brother mentioned that Metro was a good school and thought they had basketball and baseball. I liked the idea of staying in Colorado, and I narrowed my choices to Metro State or Mesa State. Then one night, as I was watching sports on a local TV channel, I hear them talking about Metro's baseball team. And then they show a clip of a Metro hitter hitting a home run and jogging around the bases. That player was a CU Buff transfer who would become a Metro Hall of Famer, Eric Larson. So now I start to think, would I become a Roadrunner? Metro's area campus was just another year from completion, and that first year turned out to be one of the most emotionally hardest times of my life. My plan that first semester was to become a physical education major, but I was lacking direction and found myself wandering the streets of Denver, trying to find my class locations and wondering why I'd signed up for the classes I had. My mind was on basketball and a very good part-time job, which would help pay for all the grilled cheese sandwiches I would eventually eat. Head basketball coach Irv Bratcher got me into the best shape of my life. I became a starter and felt good about the way I was playing. Then came the startling news when Coach Bratcher came to me and said, "I'm sorry, Curt, but you're ineligible to complete the season since you took a no credit in one of your classes, which drops you below the minimum requirement." At that point in my life, I was seriously considering quitting school and focusing on working full-time. And if it wasn't for the opening of the Rarier campus, I probably would have. But when the Rarier campus was first opened, the first thing I did was introduce myself to a counselor. Her name was Jane Kober, and she was a godsend to me. 1 hour spent with Jane, and my future was set for the next few years. I had a major, a minor, and I was going to play basketball and baseball at Metro's brand new facilities. Then Jane said, "Wait outside my office, and I'll get the baseball coach for you." Bill Hellman and I introduced ourselves. It was Bill's first year. And he started out by saying, "I'm not a baseball coach. I'm actually the athletic director. However, I've always loved the game of baseball and have the books and the passion to work hard at it." He said, "I'll do the best job I can, and we'll need the help of all my players. And he would love to have me be a part of it." And that was just what I wanted to hear. And that day was the start of a long relationship that I treasure today, and I sure wish Bill and Marilyn could have been here tonight. Of course, I had a lot of fun playing college baseball, but the worst part was those dreaded snowed-out doubleheaders. The best part was the lifelong friendships I made with all my teammates, and some of those are here tonight. The first day of practice, I would meet Jim Fahey, who would become my training partner. He quickly introduced me to two seniors, Dave Tanzik and Tony Schoenberger, and both would be in Metro's Hall of Fame today had they kept stats during their first years. Then later, taking ground balls at second base, I would meet Hall of Famer Gary Romero. I would immediately come to admire Gary's talent, personality, and confidence, especially his confidence. And it was then I realized I'd be taking fly balls in the outfield at tomorrow's practice. How did I know for sure that Gary would be our second baseman? Because Gary told me so. And another player I would meet that first day was that stud I'd seen on TV, Eric Larson, who was a big reason why I'm here tonight. We also had an already legend rubber arm pitcher named Jack Gandy, an Army vet, I believe, who I would soon learn have a very controversial relationship with the players from the Air Force Academy. And then there was the talented outfielder Joe Nabalski and our catcher Rich Belizzi, better known as the Diz. Together we became Metro's first baseball team to finish with a winning record. Not a bad start for our first-year head coach, which makes me wonder what the titles of those books he used. The following years continued to be successful. Pat Smaldone had the best pickoff move to second base I'd ever seen, and Mike Marshall's season of just 3 strikeouts and 150 at-bats was truly incredible. Great play from Truman Allmiller and Hall of Famer Greg Eisenhart, Mark Weber, Roger Rainey, and Tom Ponarelli, who sadly passed away last month. Thanks to all of them and to the rest of my teammates as well. And so many memories and stories. I remember the Mesa doubleheader in Grand Junction. I singled my first at-bat in the first game, went to third on a wild throw, dove in head first, sprained my finger and couldn't play another inning, but was able to watch from the dugout when Jim made his snow cone catch at first base and Ronnie Bustos' game-winning home run over the left field fence. And I remember 2 of my best plays in center field. The first one was late in a close game when a long fly ball was headed over Pat's head in left field. This was a ball that had to be caught. And so I'm yelling at Pat, "Back, back, back!" And he's getting closer to the fence, and I see the ball, and and the fence, and I'm thinking there's room, but he's got to be at the fence. And I'm saying, you're okay, you're okay. Then I yell, watch out! Pat reaches up with his glove hand, much like Jim's snow cone catch, and the ball lands in his glove just as his body and arm slams into the fence. I'm then yelling, great catch, Pat! Then notice blood dripping from his arm and frustration in his face as he's giving me the dirty side eye. Pat likes telling that story every year on the golf course, and each time I take half credit for the catch. The second best play of mine was at the final game of the tournament at Rangeley, a night game when it was tied going into the bottom of the last inning. A Rangeley player hits a liner with 2 outs and a guy on second to Tony in left field. I'm hearing their hometown crowd start cheering from center as they think the game is over. And I'm yelling at Tony, he's going home. You got him. Tony charges the ball, and on the second hop it lands in his glove, and in one smooth controlled motion sets and throws a one-hop bullet to the Diz at home. The umpire signals out and the crowd goes silent, sending us to extra innings. I like taking part credit for that one as well, for giving Tony the directions and encouragement. And then there was the time Dave and I promised each other nothing between left field and center would drop in the gap. But then we were challenged with a ball headed for the fence between us. We both arrived at the ball at the same time. Our gloves came together, as well as our bodies, and we went flailing to the ground. We slowly got up and checked on each other and realized one of us had the ball in his glove, and smiles came to our faces. And then painfully, what still haunts me today is that one time I caught Collins caught stealing in 38 attempts. And of course, I still remember the time when that cute girl who I had just met once before came to me before a game and said, if you hit a home run for me, I'll do something special for you. She had retrieved my home run ball and after the game showed it to me and asked, are you ready? But I'll never forget Dr. James Bryant, the person who I considered the god of the physical education department. Thank you, Dr. Bryant, for the support, for believing in me, and for wishing me the best. And then there was a day I walked out of the door of the PE building for the final time and noticing the young faces of the freshmen gathered around. That was a very surreal moment. I was so glad I got past that first year and so glad I became a Roadrunner. And lastly, back to my dad. After returning from the Navy, he became a talented softball player and at the same time coached Little League Baseball when the Little League Baseball program was first starting up in Boulder. As those 12 years passed and his kids got older, I was frequently reminded, even to this day, that he was their favorite coach. And in fact, I have a baseball signed by his kids given to him in the hospital after he broke his leg sliding in home. I discovered why I liked my dad as my coach at 11 years old. He was just always so supportive and cared about every kid the same. And he always made it fun. I never told him that, but I believe he's hearing it now. Both my parents followed me throughout my years of playing ball. In my dad's final years, he told me how proud he was of me. And in those last days, as he laid in bed, unable to speak, see, or move, I asked him, if you can hear me, squeezed my hand. I felt a tiny twitch, and I told him I loved him, but I failed to tell him how proud I was to be his son and to have him as my father. So, Dad, thank you. You were my role model, and I became who I am today because of you. And I'm very proud of that. And thank you, Mom, for always being there for all of us. You are our MVP. Thank you.